Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the John Bierchen Show. I am Kendall Grayson, play-by-play voice for Alabama hockey, joined every week by head coach John Bierchen. Coach, last weekend Alabama defeated John Carroll University in their second game after losing 2-1 in the shootout in game number 1. But I think the team really played well in both games. I think you can see that culture that you're trying to establish within the program really show itself in the games this weekend.
Yeah, we had a lot of good things happen. Even in the first game, even though we lost in a shootout, we outshot them 51-19, and that was something really that I thought was positive. We got a lot of shots on net. They weren't always high-quality shots, but we certainly outshot them 51-19, and that kind of shows that we did really good in the defensive zone as well. In the second game, we were blocking shots, and that's why a goal was scored. We had somebody do a really good job of hunting the puck on the back check, creating a takeaway at our own offensive blue line, dishing it off to Jeremy Hanna, and Jeremy Hanna was able to snipe. So we were able to play fast, like I said during the game. That was a big focus in practice this week, was neutral zone faceoffs and neutral zone transitions. We were trying to transition more at the red line instead of the far blue line, so it was kind of catching John Carroll off guard, and that was where we were able to generate a lot of offense. And then we had some situations happen where some people lost playing time just because they retaliated after the whistle. So even in a situation like that, I think we did a really good job with kind of building and establishing that culture, whether it was positive plays on the ice, whether it was on the bench, and having to, kind of set an example of how we're going to handle ourselves. So, we don't want to be retaliating after the whistle. I think our guys do a really good job of being respectful. We even talked about that to the refs. I believe it was in the second game during the second intermission. Kyle and I pulled the ref aside and said, hey, look, John Carroll, their bench is kind of showing you up, and they're kind of showing us up by always challenging every call, hooting and hollering all the time, and that's not the way we want to be. So, we talked to them and said, hey, look, our guys are respecting the calls, whether we agree or disagree. When they get slashed, they're not yelling at you guys, they're not making a scene, they're not showing you up. So I think we did a really good job too, kind of establishing a culture of, how do we want to handle ourselves, how do we want to be perceived in the hockey world. So I think this weekend was a really big step forward.
Coach, you talk about establishing that culture, which Alabama showed this weekend against John Carroll University, and one win on Saturday, one loss on Friday night. But it's not always about winning and losing. It's about establishing culture like you're talking about. How do you continue to do that and work on that throughout the week?
Well, I think it certainly starts with leadership, and I think whether it's myself and then Kyle Richards and Jerron Jacobs have done a really good job of keeping everybody calm no matter what the situation is, and having a business-like atmosphere. You use this weekend as an example. Did we lose the game on Friday? Absolutely. We clearly lost the game 2-1 in a shootout, but you look at some of the key statistics, whether it was out shooting them 51-19, the power play had really good movement, and I think we scored a power play goal. That was the one goal that we scored. The penalty kill did a really good job. We were blocking shots. We were doing really well on the back check and having quick transitions. So, you take a situation like that where, yes, we lost the game, but we did a lot of good things well. And some people were kind of like, we should have won that game, and well, John Carroll this and John Carroll that, and it's like, hey, look, these were kind of the benchmarks that we wanted to hit. Clearly, we lost the game, but we were improving upon our consistency, and then that was kind of like what the message was going into Saturday's game, was our consistency on Friday was really 65 or 70%. We needed to ramp that up, and Saturday it was 85 to 90%, and you could really see that in our performance. And a lot of the goals came off of block shots, doing well, hunting the puck on the back check, transitioning even at the offensive blue line, and getting a lot of chances off of that. So, really when it comes down to establishing a culture, it's just, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and we need to stick to that no matter what the result is, because it will continue to build, and then people will feed off that.
Well, Coach, we continue to see improvement with the power play this season. On Saturday, Alabama had 4 power play goals. If you could, just spotlight the power play and talk about what they do well that allows this team to use the man advantage so successfully.
Well, Kyle Richards, associate coach Kyle Richards, has done a really good job with the power play. When you're kind of putting together a power play unit, you want to get your skill guys out there. So that's what we've done, is try to get the most skilled guys on the ice, and then really just make 1 or 2 passes, and then get the puck to the net, crash the net, then retrieve the puck if there's a rebound, and set it and do it all up and do it all over again. So the power play did a really good job. They met before the first or the second game on Saturday. They really focused on what were the kind of plays that we wanted to achieve. This was going to be kind of the the way that we go. So like they had a couple different things, like this one play, this one play, this one play, and that was going to be how they went through it, and they did a really good job with that, and they were able to get 3-4 goals off of it. So credit goes to Kyle Richards for sitting them down before the second game, and then also to the guys really just going through the plays that they needed to, executing them, shooting, crashing the net. Jeremy had a really good goal that came off a rebound. There was another play where John Lavorne was able to kind of move the puck on. He moved the puck back to change the angle, pass it off. There was another goal off that. So, the guys did a really good job going through the plays that they needed to, crashing the net, retrieving the puck, setting it all back up in a quick manner, which also kept the penalty kill, off their game plan.
Well, Coach, this past weekend at the NCAA level, we saw a team that played at Alabama's level just 2 seasons ago, Arizona State, pick up their first home NCAA Division I victory of the season. What does that say about them as a program, being able to go from ACHA Division I to start to succeed at NCAA Division I in just 2 years?
Well, I think it shows that when everybody involved has commitment to excellence and doing things to a high standard, things always work out. So they played in Gila Arena, which is home of the Arizona Coyotes of the NHL, and they had a really good response by it. They were on the Pac-12 network, which certainly helped the visibility of the game. And last night too, even on ESPNU, you had Boston College play Wisconsin. So I think college hockey is coming a long way. Similar to the NHL, the more these non-hockey markets kind of get teams, whether it's Arizona State, UNLV is doing a really good job trying to get hockey, Rutgers is doing a really good job trying to get hockey. So I think the more that these non-hockey markets continue to grow the game similar to the way the NHL did, it's only going to help college hockey in the long run.
Well, Coach, the Vanderbilt Commodores come to town on Friday night. It's Harambee Night. Should be a great showing from the home fans. A lot of good things going on. But let's talk about the Commodores specifically and what that program brings. Of course, an SEC opponent for Alabama, a team that Alabama's had much success against over the past few years, but a very good ACHA Division III program. And I think we should see a very good game between these two teams on Friday.
Well, you got to give Vanderbilt a lot of respect. This could easily be a trap game for us, and we're trying to communicate to our team. I believe they went 3-0 in the showcase that they were in. They beat us last year 5-3. Just because they're not a Division I team does not mean that they're not a solid team. They're very well coached. They've recruited very well, and they've really upped their program similar to the way we did things. So you got to give Vanderbilt a lot of credit. We know that they're going to play us tough. We've got to be prepared, and we're certainly going to make sure that we communicate that to the guys.
Fans, coming up on Friday night, a specialty night for Alabama hockey, Harambee Night. A lot of cool things going on there. Coach, can you tell our fans more about Harambee Night coming up against Vanderbilt?
Well, this is probably one of the bigger promos in Alabama hockey history. Some of the donations from the jerseys that are being auctioned off will go to the Suncoast Primate Sanctuaries, help them continue to fund the great work that they do down in Palm Harbor, Florida at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary.
Thank you for watching this week's edition of The John Bierchen Show.